Okay, I'm Sugar Ray Seals, 1972 Olympic gold medalist, and I'm a fan of the Ringside Boxing Show.
Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responti today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and we've got some really good stuff coming up for you today. Our featured guest is one of those legendary boxers from the iconic Kronk Gym of the 1980s, Milton McCrory, the Iceman, trained under Hall of Famer Emanuel Steward. He fought professionally from 1980 to 1991, and he held the WBC welterweight championship of the world for more than 2 years before he lost it to Donald Curry in his fifth title defense. Some of his toughest wars were right there in the Kronk Gym, where the sparring sessions were legendary with guys like Thomas Hearns, Hilmer Kente, Gerald McClellan, Jimmy Paul, Dwayne Thomas. Milton's little brother, Steve McCrory, was part of that gym, too. He won an Olympic gold medal and died young. Our interview with the Iceman's coming up in the second half of today's show. I spent Saturday night at a live boxing show here in Salinas watching a local kid, Ruben Villa IV, go to 14-0 with a dazzling performance. This kid is a future featherweight champion of the world, and I'm going to talk to his trainer, Max Garcia, in a few minutes, alongside my former partner on the Ringside Boxing Show, Irish Joe O'Rourke, who watched the fight with me and is going to join the conversation. But first we want to talk about this the fight everybody watched Saturday night on ESPN, Terrence Crawford's 12th round knockout of previously undefeated Jose Benavidez Jr., and we'll talk about a few other things, too, with our expert analyst. Travis Hartman is a professional boxer, trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwan Zahid, a boxing journalist from Toronto, and John J. Responti is chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com. And John and I collaborated on an Amazon bestseller, Animate Warfare, The True Story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward Boxing Trilogy. I don't think Riz is going to make it today, but we got John and Travis today with us. Hey, guys, Terrence Crawford returned Saturday night against a big, strong 26-year-old kid with a mean streak who has a 27-0 record and 18 knockouts, and he pretty much schooled Jose Benavidez for the better part of 12 rounds before knocking him out in the 12th round with 18 seconds left in the fight. You could see the size difference between the two at the opening bell. Benavidez was naturally a much bigger guy, I thought, so anything could have happened. But, Travis, you fought Terrence Crawford, and you told us a very long time ago that he was the best you ever encountered, and you fought a few good ones, too. So he's now 34-0, 25 knockouts, been a world champion at either 140 or 147 since March of 2014. That's a long time. And people always say that it's harder to stay on top than it is to get there. But have you ever since you've been watching him, seen a hint of vulnerability from Terrence Crawford? I haven't.
No, I mean, and he's got a 75% KO ratio, which doesn't include me, by the way, because I lost the decision to him. Thank you very much.
Wow.
But
all right.
That's the only thing I can hold my hat on right now. But no, you know what? He just impresses me so much, and I'm going to tell you why. Is because I think yesterday with the opponent that he had in front of him, I think that a guy like Errol Spence would have probably knocked out Benavidez inside probably 6 or 7 rounds, probably 6 rounds, because Errol Spence has that more of a straightforward come right at you and just try to kill you. But Terrence Crawford last night just was so patient and relaxed and let the knockout come to him. To me, it was impressive. I predicted a 10th round knockout, and he ended up knocking him out in the 12th round. But I could tell why it took so long, because Benavidez was the bigger guy, like you said, Dennis, and you could tell he was overwhelmingly big, and you could tell that Crawford was having problems early with his reach and how big Benavidez was. And Benavidez, he was smart because he covered up really well when he needed to, and that's why Terrence Crawford wasn't able to catch him. But for whatever reason, Benavidez, I have to give it to him, though, in the 12th round when he came out, Benavidez knew he had that fight lost. A lot of guys, honestly, would have tried to just last the 12 rounds, to say they lasted 12 rounds with Terrence Crawford, pound for pound candidate for number one in the world, pound for pound for sure. But Benavidez kind of went out on his shield, and that's why he got knocked out, is because he started throwing some punches, and he opened up. And Crawford, he didn't force anything early, because Crawford could have tried to press the action a lot more and got caught with something silly. But he's so smart that he literally was just waiting for that opportunity to pounce. And it was just, I mean, it was a sliver that Benavidez opened up, and Crawford is that good with his pinpoint punches. Just drilled him with that uppercut and put him down for the first time. And then he went in for the kill. He smelled the blood and he went in for the kill in his hometown. And I thought it was impressive, because usually when you see undefeated guys at that level, it's very rare when you see knockouts. It really is. I mean, everybody keeps talking about, and even me, talking about Crawford, and if Crawford and Spence ever fight, you know, one of them's going to knock the other one out. It's a very, very low percentage when two elite-level fighters fight, there's a knockout. Just like Triple G and Canelo. Both of those guys can punch, and everybody thought there was going to be a knockout, but those are two elite-level fighters. It's very, very rare that you ever see a knockout. So for Terence Crawford to seal the deal last night with a knockout was, to me, it was very impressive. I mean, he was a 33-1 favorite going into that fight, so it wasn't a fact of if he was going to win, it was how he was going to win. And he definitely closed the show like he should have. He outclassed him the entire fight. He closed the show at the end. He didn't force anything. To me, I don't see a lot of vulnerability in a Terence Crawford, other than he turned pro at about 135 pounds. He's all the way up to 147, and I could tell a huge difference in the size. So if he ever does decide to match up with an Errol Spence is going to have a major size advantage over Terence Crawford. Is that going to matter? I don't know, because Terence Crawford is that fast and that smart that he will get out of the way, and he'll box very well, and something like that could give Errol Spence a lot of trouble. So last night, Terence Crawford impressed me. I didn't see a lot of vulnerability. To answer your question, Dennis, I really didn't. I was really impressed with his patience, with his hand speed, with his power. I mean, he's the same Terence Crawford that I keep believing and I keep seeing since 2009 when I fought him and told everybody that he's going to be good. He's still impressing me. What is that, 9 years later, and he's still that good.
John, was Jose Benavidez exposed as a second-tier talent, or did Crawford just make it look that way?
You know, a lot of people I always have to read social media. I don't know why, because it can be frustrating. But a lot of people said that he was average. I don't agree. I think Jose Benavidez Jr. is above average. I do. I'd say he's good. He just ran into a guy, and the thing that impressed me, Travis mentioned it twice, I believe. He said smart. And that's what separates the great fighters from other fighters, because Terence Crawford, Travis hit it right on the head with it when he said the size difference was an issue, and Andre Ward didn't think it would be before the fight, and I was going, man, I don't know, you know, the guy's 6 feet, Crawford's 5'8", got like an 8-inch reach advantage, and it was a problem. He couldn't get his jab working, and he had to adjust on the fly, and he did. He started going to the body with some beautiful shots that slowed Benavidez down. And then you had Benavidez, who was really determined to show that he belonged in there. And I think he did. I mean, through 5 rounds, the fight was close. But, you know, the cream always rises, and that's exactly what happened. I never had a feeling that Crawford was going to lose, even in the first 5 rounds when it was close. He got hit a few times, but he was in control in his feet. You know, his legs are so effective as far as moving and finding angles. But that word I just mentioned, smart. He's got a boxing brain that's really impressive, and that might give him the edge over Spence, because we don't know if Errol Spence can. I don't think he's ever had to adjust on the fly. You know, So what's going to happen if Terence Crawford comes out and boxes him more or doesn't box him more? I mean, Terence will do anything it takes to win. So if Errol Spence has to adjust on the fly, that's going to be very interesting. But, yeah, I was really impressed with Terence, because, you know, he's fighting a big guy, 6-foot guy, probably weighed, 160 in there, maybe more, I don't know. And he took care of him, and he just fight was close through 5, like I said, and he just pulled away. I mean, he was dominating, tried to stop him in the 10th, 11th, and he got him in the 12th with that beautiful uppercut and then a right hand, the one that he missed at the weigh-in. He clocked him to end the fight. So, that was kind of interesting and ironic. And I don't think Benavidez is that bad of a guy. I think he might have disliked Crawford a little, but he was more of a guy. He reminded me of a guy. Look, I'm 27-0 myself. Okay, I haven't fought anybody like this guy, but I deserve a little respect. He felt disrespected, and he used it as a motivator. And I always think that's smart. If you're going to find whatever you need, like Michael Jordan used things. He used to make things up to get himself motivated. He used to tell himself, that guy's putting me down or whatever. Hey, whatever it takes in sports, when you're competitive, when you got that fire, use it. And he did, and he was fighting hard. But, he just ran into a great fighter. So I think he proved that he's above average. I'll say that. He gave Crawford a pretty good fight, and he should be pretty proud of himself for that. And he went out on a shield. Like Travis said, he tried in the 12th round to knock him out. So all kudos to that guy. I think he deserves all the credit in the world for that.
See, that once again, that's what I haven't quite figured out about boxers and their smack talk. In any other sport, you don't want to motivate the other guy, and boxers just do nothing but motivate the other guy.
And themselves.
Travis, Bob Arum says he doesn't see Sean Porter or Keith Thurman as a serious threat to Crawford's perfect record. And, I don't know that I can disagree with him. Keith Thurman, we don't know what we're going to get when he comes back, and Sean Porter has already lost a couple times. But he says he wants to make Crawford versus Errol Spence next. Are you optimistic that can happen?
I mean, Bob Arum talks out of both sides of his mouth, so I'm not optimistic ever when he says anything, to be honest.
Okay.
But I think it will eventually happen, but I don't think it's going to happen next. I would say this, and I've always said this about Sean Porter. Stay away from Sean Porter. I mean, even for Terrence Crawford, I say stay away from Sean Porter. He's an ugly, bulldog type of fight. Would Terrence Crawford win? Probably still, yes. But it's just not a fight that I think is a good fight for even television or a good fight for Terrence Crawford, because it would be a boring, ugly fight, and he'd probably win. And I don't want to see it personally. I like Sean Porter a lot, but I just don't want to see that fight. I think a Keith Thurman fight and a Terrence Crawford fight needs to happen as well. But I think what also needs to happen is Keith Thurman just needs to get back in the ring, because he hasn't been in the ring in a really long time, for some personal issues. I think he's been injured as well. He's gotten married. I think that he's almost fell out of love with boxing a little bit, just a little bit. And sometimes that's all it takes to separate good fighters from great fighters. And I think last night you saw that. I think Benavidez, by all rights, is a good fighter. But I think that Terrence Crawford is a great fighter, and that's what we saw the difference last night. So to be a good fighter in professional boxing right now is something definitely you can hang your hat on if you're Benavidez. But he ran into a great fighter, and there's not very many great fighters out there, and that's just what happened.
Let me stick with you on this next question, because what was impressive to me about that uppercut, that knockdown in the 12th round, man, it's hard to knock a guy down in the 12th round when both guys are tired, right? It's harder. It seems like you lose. It's harder to knock a guy down than it is to be knocked down in the 12th round, because your arms get more tired than the rest of your body. Is that accurate? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, you're in the 12th round of a world title fight. I mean, that's impressive in its own right. And he didn't just knock him down once; he knocked him down twice, and they were good, legit shots. I mean, he was on his way down when the referee finally stopped the second one, but they were both legit, clean shots. And Terrence Crawford, the way he was punching, the crispness and the fastness of his punches, it reminds you of the first couple of rounds. And to see that in an elite level fighter, that's impressive, because, guys, we've talked about this before with Canelo Alvarez, how he fades down the stretch. So the fact that a guy like Terrence Crawford is still that fresh and still that good into the 12th round and able to knock somebody out, that should tell us right there how great Terrence Crawford is, because by all rights, I believe Canelo is a great fighter as well, and I believe Oscar De La Hoya is a great fighter as well, but all of those guys they faded down the stretch. If you watch any of their fights, they fade down the stretch. And look at Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's still fresh, healthy, bounce around, has that knockout power, that crispness, that speed to knock guys out in the 12th round. And it wasn't just the 12th round. That literally was at the very end of the 12th round. So that was even more impressive. But, Dennis, the stamina and the work ethic that Terrence Crawford has to be able to have that kind of power at the end of a fight goes to show you that guy truly loves boxing. He truly is a gym rat. Bomac McIntyre, his manager/trainer, he's always said that. He said Terrence Crawford is a gym rat, and it shows. I mean, look at the guy. The guy always comes in shape, And this isn't a comparison to him, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather Jr., in all rights, is one of the hardest working professional boxers that I've ever seen, athletes that I've ever seen. He lives in the gym as well. He perfected his craft, and he trained his butt off. And that, honest to God, that is how Terrence Crawford is patterning his boxing style, and that's he works his butt off day in and day out in the gym. And look at it. It's showing. He's reaping those rewards, and that's why he's 34-0 right now.
Okay, so in the co-feature, U.S. Olympian Shakur Stevenson moved to 9-0, got his fifth knockout, first-round stoppage of this guy, Viorel Simeon, who was 21-2 coming in. Stevenson suddenly looks like the real deal in the featherweight division to me, which is where we're also going to find Leo Santa Cruz and Gary Russell Jr. and Carl Frampton and Abner Mares and Josh Warrington and Lee Selby, who Stevenson immediately called out after the fight. John, this kid's just 21 years old, and he's only been a pro for 18 months. It seems to be a trend nowadays to rush a young fighter to that upper echelon of his weight division, especially if he has a significant amateur pedigree like Shakur. But I wonder how smart it is when a kid is still 21 years old. It seems like they might be seeing dollar signs rather than giving a young fighter the best chance to develop into a great fighter. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to rush him, Dennis. Andre Ward, again, bringing up our old friend Andre Ward, he's a co-manager of Shakur, and I don't think he sees it that way. I think he compares Shakur a little to himself. And if you remember Andre's career, they brought him along somewhat slowly. This was a bigger fight in his ninth fight than Andre had, but I don't think they're going to be looking for a title shot here in the next fight or two. But I think it could happen around 3 or 4 fights from now. I do. I think if he's around 14-0, something like that, and he keeps looking as impressive as he did last night. Now, it was only one fight last night, but obviously he's looked good in every one of his fights. And he seems to be getting better, and he's just a kid, right? They'll do it, but not that quickly. Shakur's young. He's going to call out everybody. I mean, I think you expect that. He was riding high last night after that brutal, well, not brutal, but beautiful knockout, if they can be beautiful, and they can be in boxing sometimes. He looked extra sharp. There's always people, again, that are, the guy hadn't fought for a while, always looking for the negative. What about the positive? This kid is sharp, he's smart in there, he's fast, he's young, he's got all that going for him. I don't think they're going to rush him too much, but I think it's somewhere in the middle, Dennis. I think, like I said, 3-4 more fights maybe, he fights for a title, but not in his next fight or his next fight. I think maybe a year from now or maybe a little longer, he fights for a title. But, there's no rush. I mean, forget the dollar signs for a minute. Let's put the greed in the backyard for a little while, please, guys. You don't want to blow it with this kid either. So if it was me, I would just keep moving him up and watching him improve, and then when we get our title shot, we get it. Not too long, but like I said, not too soon. So it's coming. He's just got to be patient.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor. We're talking to two of our expert analysts, Travis Hartman and John J. Responte. Rizwan's at work today, and he's darn busy, so he's not going to join us today, I don't think. Okay, so here's something from the Matchmaker's grapevine that I found really intriguing this week. Callum Smith, who is 25-0 with 18 knockouts after winning the super middleweight belt from George Groves, says he's willing to face WBA's regular lightweight champ, Dimitri Bivol, light heavyweight champ, who's 14-0, 11 knockouts if Bivol comes down to 168 pounds. Travis, who gets the advantage in a fight like that? A guy whose opponent has to drop 7 pounds or the naturally bigger, stronger guy. Chad Dawson dropped from 175 to 168 to fight Andre Ward, and that didn't work out very well for him. Of course, that was Andre Ward. But how much weight is 7 pounds for a light heavyweight to lose?
Man, I'll tell you, 7 pounds for any boxer to lose is quite a bit. Nobody ever understood when I was in the amateur boxing, and we did 5-pound increments for weight classes. So 7 pounds is almost 2 full weight classes in the amateur boxing. So I'm telling you, 7 pounds is a lot more than you think, because if a guy's fighting at 175, he's probably walking around about 190. So to add an extra 7 pounds minus that to come all the way down to 68, I think it's massive. And I can't tell you for sure what that guy, how he makes his weight and how he properly does it, but I can tell you that 7 pounds is a lot. And I think that the old myth or the old wise tale was, oh my gosh, if you fight as light as you can, you'll be really strong at that weight because you'll be so much bigger than guys. But I think people are figuring out now that that's not necessarily true. So guys are more fighting at their best and their strongest weight, and that doesn't mean sucking down 7 or 8 or a couple weight classes down. So I think, honestly, the guy that's already at 168, he's got the advantage. The guy coming down definitely does not, in my opinion. And I think that's been proven quite a bit often. And like you just said, Chad Dawson did that with Andre Ward. However, Andre Ward is great. Andre Ward is definitely not the rule. He's the exception, that's for sure. So I think that for the most part, in my opinion as a professional boxer, I do think sucking down that extra 7 pounds is a lot of weight to do. I think it drains guys, and I think it's more of a disadvantage than an advantage.
Okay, a couple more for you guys. John, the Hall of Fame ballots are out, and one of the names is Ricky Hatton, who was 45-3 in his career with 32 knockouts. That's impressive. He took the 140-pound title from Kostya Tszyu, who was at the time seen as a pound-for-pound great, but was also approaching his 36th birthday at the time. He also beat Jose Luis Castillo, who was 34 by then, but he had won 9 of his last 10 coming into that fight, including the Diego Corrales rematch. He beat Malignaggi, Juan Urango, Luis Collazo, Ben Taki, Vince Phillips, all good but not great. He got knocked out by Pacquiao, Mayweather, and this guy Vaislev Sashenko. Hall of Famer or not a Hall of Famer for Ricky Hatton? How would you vote?
I would vote no. He's close, but the memory we have of him really is getting brutally knocked out by Pacquiao, and he got knocked out by Mayweather too. But the Pacquiao knockout seemed to define him in a way, and it was so brutal and so fast. I mean, you guys remember, I'm sure, 2 rounds, and he went down, and we were all relieved when he got up, because that was you talk about a brutal knockout.
Yeah.
He was so well revered in London. I mean, they used to sing the Ricky Hatton song. It was really cool to watch it, and they loved him and all that, but that doesn't put you in the Hall of Fame. You're supposed to be an upper, and we've lowered the bar a little the last so many years, I think, for what exactly it means. When I always used to think about the Hall of Fame, I used to think that meant the best, greatest. But we bring guys, we lower the bar a little for some guys like Arturo Gatti. He was never great, but he left us with so many great boxing memories that, see, it's a different kind of a thing. Ricky Hatton, he's got the bad memory that we remember, and I'm sure he tries to forget all the time. So it sounds kind of rough, and I don't mean it to sound that way. He was a good fighter. He beat a lot of good fighters, but he never beat anybody great, did he? So since he didn't beat anybody great, and you could say that same argument again with a few other guys that are in there, but since he lost the big ones, I can't do it. I would not put him in the Hall of Fame.
Kostya Tszyu and Jose Luis Castillo were both great, but they were both getting along in the tooth then, too.
Right. They were older. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Travis, are you in the same boat there?
Yeah, I think, honestly, his only biggest win was, like you just said, it was Kostya Tszyu, but that ended up being Kostya Tszyu's last fight. However, Kostya Tszyu only lost 1 fight up to that point with Ricky Hatton, so you do have to give him credit for that as well, because Kostya Tszyu, by all means, wasn't old when he fought Ricky Hatton. Even though he did retire after that, Kostya Tszyu was still very revered during that amount of time. I mean, he was just only, a couple of years, 3 or 4 years removed from that brutal knockout of Zadruda. So, but if you just have one guy on your resume that is great like that, and I really don't even consider Castilla that way anymore, because Castilla kept fighting after that, and his whole legacy to me has just been shot, because I think he took a bunch of extra fights way past his prime. So I'm with John. If you don't put Gotti in the Hall of Fame, I don't believe that you can put Ricky Hatton in the Hall of Fame either. But if you put Gotti in the Hall of Fame, I think definitely Ricky Hatton has it over Gotti as well, because Ricky Hatton actually beat a couple of greats. Gotti lost to all the greats for sure. Ricky Hatton lost to 2 greats, but he also beat a couple of greats. So in my opinion, I think we have lowered the bar quite a bit in the Hall of Fame speaking. I mean, in all other sports like the NFL and all of that, the Hall of Fame is the upper echelon. It is like, I mean, it's the elite of the elite. So I think we need to get back towards that for boxing for sure. So right now, I would say if the class going in right now and Ricky Hatton was there, I would definitely put him right on the outskirts of getting into the Hall of Fame right now.
John, if anybody owns stock in Gervonta Davis, would this be a good time to sell? He was arrested this week for allegedly punching a woman in the face at a Dallas strip joint.
So.
Oh, gosh. You know, I saw that and I just groaned again. And we've been calling him Adrian Broner Part 2, right? 2.0.
Yeah.
We've been calling him for the longest time. And I've seen him at fights and he always sounds like he's drunk, you know. And it just, he's young and he's crazy and it's just, you know, when you're young like that, not everybody's this way, but I think a lot of athletes are, and some boxers, you think this is going to last forever, you know, you think you're going to do this forever, but it's over in the blink of an eye, you know, and they just don't think that, and if somebody tells them, they just go, leave me alone, where's the next bottle of vodka? So it's just, I shook my head, I rolled my eyes, I punched a woman. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what are you thinking about? You know, I didn't get the feeling that he was as bad, which sounds kind of bad, but he was as low as Broner. Broner is just, he's just from another planet sometimes with the things he does. But I thought Davis would be on the outskirts, meaning he would get maybe some misdemeanors, get arrested for this or this, but not anything real serious. But, hey, you're hitting a woman. That's crossing the line there, buddy. That's really serious stuff. And I think boxing should get involved too, and whatever happens, suspend him, because you just don't do that. You know, that is just something you do. So it just sounds like he's on that train, you know, that train wreck that we are waiting for, and it sounds like he pretty much did it already, but there's more than likely more to come, and it's his own fault. But you still, like I said, like a train wreck, you watch it, you just roll your eyes and go, God, man, wake up, grow up. But it doesn't happen.
Go ahead, Travis. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, buy low, sell high. And right now I think he's the highest he's going to be. So sell it and wait for that stock to plummet, because he's going to have another high again. He'll have a couple more highs because he will rebound, but it's going to be years. But the guy's so super talented that somebody is going to try to suck as much money out of him as they can. So they'll get him out of trouble, and he'll have a huge fight, make a bunch of money, and then he'll be back in the gutters again, because it's just a cycle. Some of those guys can never get out of that cycle, and it's almost like a lifestyle for guys like Adrian Broner and Tank. It's just that Gervonta Davis, but it's just, I don't know what it is, guys. They have all of the ability in the world, because we both know that Adrian Broner by all means is very talented, and Gervonta Tank Davis is very talented as well. But they don't have it upstairs for whatever reason. The common sense factor or that discipline or what they have the discipline to train and fight perfect fights, but yet they don't have the discipline to literally just live a halfway regular life and stop breaking the law. I have no respect for people that put their hands on women, period. And I know that I believe in God. I'm supposed to be very forgiving and very understanding of people that sin like that. But for me to put your hands on a woman, I don't have much room in my life for people who put their hands on women. So it's very, very tough for me to even think that Gervonta Tank Davis is going to even rebound from this, because whether he gets off this charge or not, he already put his hands on a woman, so his brain doesn't think normal. His brain's not thinking like us normal folks, because I don't wake up in the morning and never think about putting my hand on a woman. I don't think either one of you guys do either. I don't think any normal person does. So to me, the problem is even deeper than him putting his hands on a woman. The problem is the way his brain is thinking, to even think that that's okay, to even think that he can get away with that. And that's where I think that it's almost impossible for him to ever get better. It's just he's gonna have some highs, but he's gonna have some really, really, really big lows. And I would be surprised if he didn't spend some serious time in prison. And that's sad to say, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I'm not going to be surprised either when we find out that Adrian Broner years down the road is going to spend some time in prison as well. And that sucks, because there's nothing that you can do to help those guys. They can only help themselves, and they refuse to.
This from a guy who earlier this week said he would fight his grandmother for $20 million.
Now that's different, Dennis.
I know it's different. There's $20 million at stake there. I know. My dear old dad used to put his hand on my shoulder and look me right in the eye, and he'd say, "Son, all young people are stupid, and the younger you are, the more stupid you are. Teenagers have no rights, none."
That's wise old man.
Yeah. All right. Hey, last thing, Travis, big doings coming up Saturday night in St. Joseph's, Missouri. What's going on?
Yes, sir. I'm promoting my second fight under the Hartman Team Promotions that I formed last year. My brother is the main event. I also have a really awesome co-main event, guys. I have a super featherweight title fight, a Missouri title fight against two undefeated kids from Kansas City. I was pretty excited about that because this time around on this promotion, I decided not to fight and just promote, and I think I've match-made a whole bunch of really good and competitive fights, so I think that everybody's going to be for a treat, and definitely my younger brother, he's 9-0 right now, hoping to see him go 10-0 as well. He'll be the main event. And then we have a bunch of local fights that are going to be really good fights. So I hope everybody locally here in Missouri comes out and checks it out because I've really, really worked my butt off this time to put on a class show, a good show. And I put on a class show and a good show last time, but last time I was a little busy doing both. So this time I've been 100% dedicated and focused on just promoting, and I really think it's going to show.
All right, and that's the way it is, as Walter Cronkite used to say. John remembers him. Travis, you asked your grandmother, all right? Who Walter Cronkite was. That's Travis Hartman and John J. Responti, our expert analysts. These guys know the lay of the land in the sport. Thanks, fellas. You guys have a great week.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Take care, guys.
All right. We're going to take a quick break and then come back with trainer Max Garcia, who's sensational featherweight, Ruben Villa IV, who, by the way, beat Shakur Stevenson twice in 2016 in the amateurs. Ruben went 14-0 on Saturday night and brought his hometown audience to its feet at the Storm House in Salinas, California. I will return with Max and another good old friend in 1 minute, so do not touch that dial.
You're listening to the Ringside Boxing Show, the hottest, sweatiest show on West Coast radio.
What are you doing?
Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the sweet science on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Familton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
Time now to welcome a couple of great friends back to the Ringside Boxing Show. On Saturday night at the Storm House in Salinas, California, the hometown guy, Ruben Villa IV, went to 14-0 with a scintillating 8-round unanimous decision victory over a durable Mexican fighter named Miguel Carrizosa. I watched that fight alongside my longtime partner on this show, Irish Joe O'Rourke, who joined us right now to break down what we saw with Ruben Villa's head trainer, Max Garcia, from Garcia Boxing, who is also on the line. Irish Joe and Max, it's kind of deja vu all over again, isn't it? It's been a long time since we've been together.
Yes, sir. It's good to be back on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Welcome back, Joe.
Yeah, good to be back, Max.
Yes,
sir. Good
sir.
to be here.
You two guys have been busy. Joe's been writing an adventure novel that he's polishing up right now, and Max, you've been in the corner for 3 of your fighters in the past 4 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Alan Sanchez lost his fight in Fresno on September 14th. Joel Diaz Jr. ended his 16-month absence from the ring a week ago with a first-round knockout victory at Cache Creek. And Ruben Villa brought everybody at the Storm House to their feet on Saturday night by winning every round against Miguel Carrizosa on every scorecard. And this Carrizosa was a rugged guy. Joe, you were actually getting your very first look at Ruben Villa, which surprised me. This kid's a 15-time national amateur champion, and he's now 14-0 as a pro. What did you see last night?
Oh, God, all the great fundamentals. I saw foot and hand speed. What really amazed me about Ruben was the ability to get into his opponent, especially against such an awkward fighter. He was able to get in, hit him with combinations, and get out quickly without being hit. And as the fight wore on, he more and more he was able to hit him at all kinds of angles. It was an amazing display of boxing skills. It really was. Now, Max, you love it when your fighters land all the punches and don't get hit back. Now, Ruben stood in the pocket, and he traded with this guy, and he gave the hometown fans a thrill and won every round on all three scorecards. No, Max, is that what you were necessarily expecting, or did you necessarily drift from the game plan that you guys had?
Normally what we do is we call it touch and go for the first couple of rounds. You know, we want to win the round, but we don't want to get caught cold. That's all that happens in early knockouts. So Ruben took it upon himself. He felt, I guess he didn't feel the guy's strength or anything, because from the first round on, he sat on his punches real good, and he did pretty good on defense as far as breaking from the waist and moving his head. But I don't like to take risks early, and he went in there and I guess controlled it from the first round with a hard shot.
Right. Now another thing that really impressed me, seeing him the first time, was his laser-like accurate punching ability. I mean, is that something that Ruben has a natural talent for, or did you work pretty hard on getting that accuracy in the gym?
Well, what happens is we work. Sometimes we spar with bigger guys and fast guys. We'll spar with a 135, or we'll spar with a 140, 147. And we do practice on our hand speed and accuracy, but that's what makes him a little bit better than most of the guys, is because he has to be careful when he throws punches against these big guys, and be quick and get out, because they're so big they can hurt you, even in sparring by accident, you know. So it worked out pretty well for Ruben.
I was talking to your strategist last night, Dean Hamilton, after the fight, and he said, I asked him if it's time for Ruben to have his first 10-round fight, and he said he's definitely ready for it, but he's only 21 years old, and I'd rather see him have 2 or 3 more fights at this level, and he said there's no need to rush into it. And he also pointed out that it's not up to him. Thompson Boxing, his promoter, is making all those decisions. As Ruben's trainer, does Thompson Boxing solicit your opinions on these decisions? Do these guys give you a call and say, here's his next date and his venue and his contract weight, and we'll get back to you with his opponent on, and then you adjust to that? How does it work?
Well, what's been happening with Ruben, we had like three fights at 126 pounds back, you know, and so every 2 months fighting, making 126 to defend his WBO youth title. But for this fight, I talked to the manager, Danny Zamora, and I said, we can't be going 126 pounds, you know, for 4 times in a row. And as a matter of fact, you know, you don't have to defend that title for 4 months. So it's not necessary for him to go on at 126 pounds every single fight. It's not a title fight. We fought this fight we fought this fight at 128, because I suggested we fight at 128, because, you know, after a while it takes its toll making 126 pounds, even though Ruben makes it pretty good, but it's the workouts in between, you know, that kills you. So I said, no, let's do it. Let's fight at 128. So Danny Zamora, the manager, talked to the matchmaker and the promoter, Thompson Promotions, and they agreed. But we don't have to accept the fight at any kind of weight, you know, or opponent. With Ruben, I don't have no problem. They send me an opponent's name. I don't have no problem accepting that after I study him pretty good, after I look at what he's done, you know, and we determine as a team to see if we can handle this, or are we ready to handle this or not, you know. So, no, they can't just throw anybody on us. They better, if they do throw anybody on us, it better be big money.
Max, if you're a guy sitting on your sofa or a housewife, you know, lounging around the house. 2 pounds doesn't sound like a lot of weight. Why is 2 pounds a lot of weight for a guy like Ruben?
Well, it's for a lot of guys, even half a pound, it's a lot because they work out and their body fat really is not there anymore. You can only lose so much fluid and body fat. It's so difficult because they start losing muscle and all the workout you did goes down the drain.
What's Ruben's percentage when he's at 126?
You know what? We've never tested Ruben's percentage as far as, but I remember Eloy was at 126 or at 130 was like a 2.8 or something like that fat percentage. So that's
that's just like Joe.
Good. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. What does Joe weigh? He must be 9 feet tall, right, Joe?
Yeah. My proper weight if I were 9 feet tall. That's right.
Hey, welcome back, Joe.
Hey, good to be back, man. Hey, Max, Joel, he's now 24-1 with 20 KOs. Now, you've never trained a fighter with that kind of power, have you?
Yes, I have. I've had Preston Freeman, who had, even though he had that experience, but he had power like, young kid had so much power. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he's 26. So
yes.
His career is at a different stage from where Ruben is. Are you guys hoping to get maybe a title eliminator or even a title fight sometime next year?
Well, maybe look at this. Even though he's more experienced, he's been out of the ring since he fought the Rugaru Progress.
Yeah.
And so it took a toll there. He got dropped 4 times in 2 rounds. So Joel is like learning something new, in boxing. And so it's like we're starting all over. So his record is impressive, but as far as boxing is concerned and what we teach, no, he's still, infant stage. He needs to learn how to move and learn how to a little more defense because his power is there. Actually, learn how to box, his footwork and everything, control distance and so on. But we'll have about three good fights and then we start challenging somebody,
Oh, cool. So, what's on the near future? What's on the horizon?
Let me back up for just a second, Max, because people who aren't familiar with this Regis Prograis guy, Joel fought him. Regis is 22-0 now, 19 knockouts.
Yeah.
He's a stud, and he's getting ready to fight Terry Flanagan in the World Boxing Super Series 140-pound tournament. And Joel went up in weight to face him, and that was so on October 6th. Joel was fighting for the first time in 16 months up at Cache Creek, and he knocked out Miguel Angel Huerta in the first round.
Yeah.
And I guess that was kind of good news and bad news for you because you probably wanted to see him get a few rounds in, right?
Well, I wanted to see him get a few rounds, and he was a ball of nerves in the locker room. He was hard to control. He wouldn't sit for 2 seconds, Finally, I had to calm him down a little bit. And when we got to the fight, we didn't expect this guy to come in just throwing like crazy, and that kind of threw Joe off a little bit as far as that, boxing a little bit like what we had planned. So he went back to his old Joe and started exchanging blows and landed a good left hook and knocked him out. So he went back to where he was comfortable and, started throwing bombs himself, but more control so than before.
Wow. Hey, so Max, what's on the near horizon for Joel? Do you have any dates set in the near future?
No, probably gonna wait till January or something like that. So we'll see what we have. But he is gonna come home in a couple of weeks. Come back in a couple of weeks and start working on different things along with Ruben Villa.
Yeah. How about Ruben? What's on his near horizon?
Probably as far as the Thompson schedule is concerned, it's not until February, I think, that we fight. But
really?
As far as we don't know the place or anything else, so yeah.
You know, I suggested this to you guys before, and everybody kind of gave it a chuckle. But man, when Ruben fights a guy with a name, his first guy with a name, what are the chances that you guys could do it in Salinas in that football stadium here?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know. To tell you the truth, the weather's here been pretty good, though, you know. But I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to
tell.
That
would be an event.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, he knows how to fill the Storm House, but that football stadium over
but you know, it'd be a year and a half from now, probably. If
sure.
Yeah.
Dean was saying 2020 would be probably a good
year. 2020. We'll fight a couple more 8-rounders and see. He's progressing well, and you know, but he's 21 years old. He won't get his full strength or, you know, his max strength at about 26, 27 years old. So we just carry on.
Does that schedule make Ruben antsy?
No, not really. Not really. He's pretty much disciplined. Of course, he wants to get in the ring as soon as possible, but coming 2019, we'll probably have another 4 or 5 fights, depending on how we do.
Well, that'll keep him busy. Okay, Max, last thing for you today. Garcia boxing family lost a really good friend earlier this month. Don Chargan, the legendary promoter and matchmaker, lost a battle to cancer. I guess that was on September 28th, the end of last month.
Yeah.
He was a really good friend to you and was very involved with the fighters you've been training over the years with Garcia Boxing. What can you tell our audience about the kind of man Don Chargan was?
Well, you know, he was a soft-spoken guy. He was a soft-spoken gentleman who cared a lot about his family. He cared a lot about the people he worked with, especially Paco Damien, and it didn't matter what caliber of fighter you were, or you know, or where you come from. He would like show so much respect and was fair with everybody. You know, and of course he loved Garcia Boxing because the way my wife runs the organization, and he knows that we're fair, so we're willing to work at any kind of situation with him. And he was so patient and so soft-spoken, but real powerful.
You know, I'll tell you how I met him. He came up here for one of your fights, and I gave him and Bill Kaplan a call one day right after they got here because I wanted to get any advice they could give me about, you know, doing whatever I could do for the Ringside Boxing Show and also my website. And they said, well, we're over at such and such a hotel, you know, come on over. And I went over there, and those two guys just sat there and talked to me for like 2.5 hours, just talking boxing with me. I'd never met them before. They didn't know me from Adam. But I came away thinking, what a couple of great guys, man. Amazing, you know, and both living legends, both of them. They're both Hall of Famers.
Right. Yeah, right. The sidekick, Bill Kaplan, is an awesome individual, you know. He got emotional and missed his great friend for 60 years. So, you know,
they were inseparable. Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hey, Max, always great to talk to you. Congrats on the job you guys are doing with Ruben and Joel with Garcia Boxing, and thanks for hanging out today with Joe and me on the Ringside Boxing Show, my friend.
Hey, Joe, go have a good meal, buddy. Go have a good meal.
I will, sir.
He's going to be a whole lot better, too, when his novel's on the New York Times bestseller list.
I'm looking forward to it. It's something Sam and I would like to read.
All right.
You know?
It'll be published sometime this year, I think.
Okay, Joe, good luck. Take care of yourself, buddy.
Thank you so much, Max.
All right, Dennis, thanks for calling. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Max. That's Max Garcia and the great Irish Joe O'Rourke on the Ringside Boxing Show. Thanks, Joe. You have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and return with our featured guest today, the great Milton McCrory, is coming up right after this commercial break, so stay with us. Do not go away.
I'm Dennis Taylor, co-author of the Amazon bestseller Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy. You know, writing this book was a labor of love for John J. Responti and myself. We enjoyed every minute of the process and considered it a privilege to tell the tale of one of the most electrifying boxing trilogies in the history of this sport. Intimate Warfare traces the collision course of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward from their earliest days through their 3 epic fights, as well as the aftermath of this great rivalry, which culminated in one of the greatest friendships in boxing. Intimate Warfare has received a 4.5-star rating from readers and was endorsed by Hall of Famers Harold Letterman and Joe Cortez and 2-time Trainer of the Year Virgil Hunter. Our foreword was written by Ray Boom Boom Mancini, another one of the greatest blood and guts fighters of our time. Get your copy today at Amazon.com.
And the middle corner, fighting out of Detroit, Michigan, weighing 158 3/4 pounds. His professional record consists of 28 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw, with 22 KOs. He is the former WBC welterweight champion of the world, Milton McCrory.
Hey, welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and our featured guest today is one of those living legends from the old Kronk Gym in Detroit, a place that turned out world champions in the 1980s. One of whom was Milton McCrory, who held the WBC welterweight crown from August of 1983 to December of 1985, 2 years. And he had a record of 35-4-1 with 25 knockouts in a career that spanned from 1980 to 1991. Milton, welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show, champ. How you been?
Glad to be back. I've been okay.
Good deal, man. You know, you retired 27 years ago. What do you miss about your career, and what kinds of things do you not miss at all?
What I miss about a career about winning, but what I don't miss is, making the weight, making that weight. I stayed welterweight too long. I fought welterweight too long.
Yeah. That weight struggle was a problem for you. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What was it like to be a world champion? How did your life change in 1983 after you beat Colin Jones for that WBC title?
Well, it changed a little bit before that because I was undefeated. As long as I was winning, it was good. But it's been a bit ultimate change in life because I never grew up wanting to be a boxer. That wasn't my dream. I wanted to be a baseball player.
Yeah.
I never thought life that it would turn out to be a boxer. But my desire just to win is what really inspired me in boxing.
You won that fight against Colin Jones by a split decision at the Dunes in Las Vegas. What do you remember about the moment that they read those scorecards and you realized you'd finally achieved that dream?
The first fight, they called it a draw, but I really thought I hustled him and thought I won the first fight. But the second fight, the only difference with the second fight is that I knocked him down the first round. And that was the only difference. Both was close fights.
Why were the two of you guys such an even match?
Styles. Like they say, styles make fights. He had that cover-up peekaboo style, and that was difficult for me to be tall and trying to punch through it. And it's a good defense if you're not landing because it's hard to get through that defense.
Yeah, it's probably a good defense for fighting a tall guy like you.
Probably so. Yes.
So what was it like going back to the Kronk Gym as a world champion? Did it feel any different, or was everybody else there kind of there to make sure your head didn't swell?
No, I felt like what I was doing in training with world champions like Helmut Kempe and Tommy Hearns and Mickey Goodwin, all the good fighters, and I was doing good. I felt that because I was doing so good with them, I felt that part of me should have been a world champion, because I felt like I was ahead of my time as a young, because everybody was older than me. And to be young and doing what I was doing with them made me think that, hey, I deserve to be a world champion.
What was so special about Kronk? Why do you think it was a factory for such great fighters?
The thing that says about Kronk amongst anything else is we had better practice. As the great Albert Iverson say, practice. We had better practice than everybody. When you practice with the best, you already can beat the best. You understand that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you did a lot of sparring with Tommy Hearns, right?
Oh, a million and one, yes.
What was that like? What do you remember about the first time you got in the ring with Hearns, knowing who he was?
The first time I ever got his size and boxed him is when he was getting ready to fight Pepino Cuellar. And I did real good with him, too, and I was surprised. But I used to watch Tommy when I was younger, and I said if I ever boxed him, things I would do. And when I got to that age and to his size, I did it, and it worked. It's like seeing somebody watching them, and then, you watch them for years, and you ever say, if I boxed him, certain things you would do, and that's what I did.
You mentioned that you were a baseball player as a kid. That was your first love. And then Jimmy Paul and Dwayne Thomas, two other really good Kronk fighters, were the guys who brought you and your little brother to the gym the first time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. Yes, they did. Jimmy and Dwayne brought us to the gym. They thought me and my brother Steve was the two little tough little kids on the streets, and they thought we probably would have did good in boxing, and it turned out to be good.
And I read that you weren't all that interested in it at first, were you?
Well, I wasn't. No. I be honest with you, I never liked boxing my whole career, but I would have been a fool to walk away from it because as I got older, I didn't realize I was a tougher guy than what I participated myself to be, I was. I didn't know. It's funny, as I look back in life, I kept the name. I didn't know I was that tough. What I was doing in the gym with, with the, champions and contenders. And I was doing good to be younger and skinnier and holding up against these grown men. I was very shocked at myself.
But you never really fell in love with the sport, huh?
No, I never know. But I teach boxing now. I help Mr. Stewart out, Marie Stewart, and his wife out there at the gym a lot. I'm down there every day after work.
What about your little brother Steve? Did he fall in love with the sport, or was he like you?
Stevie loved it. Stevie had a love for boxing. I didn't, but he had a love for boxing.
Now, is it true that you guys showed up for the first time on a Monday, and you actually fought for the first time that following Saturday?
Yes, that's true. That's 100% true. Yes. We trained for 5 days, and we all won our first fight.
Oh, man. That's amazing. Well, that's pretty typical at Kronk, that they'd stick somebody in the ring 5 days later?
Well, at that time, we wasn't at Kronk. We didn't start off with Kronk. A few of us started. Tommy didn't start with Kronk. There's a few of us fighters didn't start with Kronk. I mean, I had 10 fights before I came to Kronk.
Oh, okay. I get it. All right. Well, so what was it like the first time you ever walked into that Kronk gym with all the studs around?
Well, to me, I liked it better because they had people my size. Like when I was back there at the other gym, we was all different sizes, and there wasn't that many of us. But when we got to Kronk, it was more people our size, little kids, and it made a big difference when you were boxing people more closer to your weight than way bigger than you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm guessing growing up in a city like Detroit, I don't think you were in one of the worst neighborhoods, but there's probably a guy on every corner who wants to be the alpha dog. Did life get any easier for you and your brother once word got out with it that you guys were boxers?
I might think so because back then they was gang banging and all that stuff, but I think so. We probably did get a little pass because of that.
That people didn't challenge you on the street when you were walking to the gym with your gym bag over your shoulder?
No, I've been chased home a couple of times. Yeah, I got chased home a couple of times because I was in the wrong neighborhood, wrong block, whatever. I've been chased home a few times.
So in 1979, you went to the Junior World Championships in Japan, and you won that tournament. How much did that do for your self-esteem to all of a sudden be a world junior champion?
Well, it did a whole lot. That was the first time I ever fought 147.
Really? Wow.
That was the first time I ever fought 147, and I fought 147 for 6 years. And that's why I kept saying that starving to make weight was a big problem for me as I became champ.
Huh. What did you think of Japan?
It's a clean city. It's very clean, but I didn't really get a chance when everybody when the other fighters got a chance to go to Tokyo. I couldn't go because I was still in the tournament. So I didn't really see it as much as everybody else because I was still in the tournament. So I didn't get a chance to joyride or nothing like that. It's a clean city, though. It's very clean.
Were you still playing baseball at that point, at age 17?
Yes. When I came back from Japan, I got on the baseball team. I got on the baseball team my senior year. My high school baseball team my senior year.
How'd you do? What position were you playing, first of all?
I was a utility player. I pitched, played infield, and played outfield.
Wow, no kidding.
And a couple of scouts looked at me like, God, why you play so many? Why you only played 1 year? I only played my senior year.
Yeah, so you might have had a future in that sport if you'd played longer, huh?
Right. Yes.
Huh.
But,
well,
go ahead.
I was going to say probably a good thing that you stuck with boxing. You were 105-15 as an amateur, and you lost to Johnny Bumpus in the Olympic trials. Looking back, how disappointing was that moment?
When I lost to Johnny Bumpus, it was in a world game. It wasn't Olympic. I didn't fight in the Olympic trials. Man, he didn't want me to fight in the Olympic trials because he said that. Donald Curry was the pick at 147, and Emanuel Steward was the pick at 139, which got killed on the airplane. So I didn't fight in the Olympics. I didn't even fight in the Olympic trials. I kind of stayed. I fought my last year in '80 in the Golden Gloves. I went to the Nationals. They robbed me, and that was it. And man, turned pro after that.
Your little brother Stevie won the Olympic gold medal. What was that like watching him do that?
That was wonderful because at the time I was world champ.
Yeah.
So it was a great time. Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah.
What was the sparring like at Kronk Gym, considering that there was a badass everywhere you looked?
Kronk, to me, Kronk was my hardest fight was at the gym. You know, when I fought people my size, because I always boxed people bigger than me, and when I fought people my weight division, I dominated them.
Everybody says that you were a guy who gave Tommy Hearns a lot of trouble in the gym. You were a really tough matchup for him.
Right.
What was it about your style that was a problem for Tommy Hearns?
Well, the thing that I had a lot of pride about myself. It was, everybody always looked at Tommy, woo. People couldn't believe when I did stop boxing Tommy, they couldn't believe that I was doing so good. I was always watching when I was young. I said things I would do when I did boxing, if I ever get inside when I did boxing, what I would do. And lo and behold, when I got my senior year in high school, I got inside. And every time we boxed, I always got it.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor. We are talking to the former WBC welterweight champion of the world, Milton McCrory. He's one of the legends from Kronk Gym. From the 1980s. So you were a world champion for more than 2 years, 28 months in fact. The old adage is that it's much easier to get to the top than it is to stay there. Do you think that's true?
Yes, I'm thinking too. When you're at the top, I mean, you picking your opponents. Once you become champion, you picking who you want to fight. I would avoid Marvin Starr because of the peekaboo style. That was I didn't like, with the trouble I was having with Colin Jones. I didn't like that style, so I was not picking Marvin Stallings. Right.
Yeah, and you said earlier that you stayed at welterweight much too long. At what point in your career did you find cutting weight was starting to become an issue for you?
Well, the majority of my whole career, because I've always been tall and skinny for every weight class I fought in. It just when I got to welterweight, I just stayed too long. I mean, when I lost it down, I was 172 coming down to 147.
Really?
And then back then you had to fight on the same day, other way here.
Oh my gosh! So you must have been starving yourself then.
Oh, I was starving. You know how it is to not eat nothing, to be in school and my people drink water. You can't do it. Yeah. I did stuff a lot.
Yeah, that must have taken incredible.
But I realized it takes a lot of sacrifice to be a world champion. But look at how much sacrifice that I put up with to become a world champion.
Yeah. So obviously that was a huge factor in your loss to Donald Curry. What was it like trying to make 147 for that one, and how did it affect you in the ring that night?
Oh, it affected me it affected me very big. I mean, I was there. I mean, they paid me the money to make 147. That's all I had to do. But the fight before that, I told him I can't make 147 no more. Then that's when they came up with the Curry fight. And then I was thinking, well, everybody gonna think he's scared. He can't make the weight. Woo, woo, woo. But I did it just for that. And I look back on it, and I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah. How close did you come to fighting Roberto Duran?
Well, they offered Duran. Duran said no. They offered Pino Cuevas. He said no.
Huh? Why do you think they did? What scared him about you?
Well, to me, after what Tommy had did with him, and then I'm another tall fighter, and I predominantly knocking everybody out. Well, I think that was a smart move on their part.
Yeah. Now, is it true that you fought Mike McCallum on 2 weeks' notice?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Because of what I was doing to him in the gym, I thought I could beat him. And I thought I could do it in 2 weeks. I mean, in 2 weeks I ran with bros on for 6 miles to try to adapt to. But I went 10 rounds. I was tired. It was scheduled 15. But the only round, I think I won like the first 4 rounds easy.
And you also fought him with a broken nose that night, right, from training camp?
Yeah. It was broken training camp, yep.
Did you feel it during the fight?
No. They shot it with that Novocaine.
Oh, wow. Man. You know, a couple more for you. People remember Sugar Ray Leonard coming out of retirement and fighting Kevin Howard, who knocked him down in Leonard's comeback fight, and then he retired again. You were the guy, people don't know this, you were the guy that was supposed to be Leonard's opponent after Kevin Howard, right?
Right, you 100% right, because he said he wanted the WBC belt back then. Back then it was only 2 belts, WBA and WBC. Tommy had the WBA and Sugar Ray had the WBC. And he said he wanted that belt back. And it took the tune-up fight with Kevin Howard and got it back years later for our Hagler. But the tune-up fight was for Milton McCrory. People don't realize. But Sugar Ray had problems with all fighters, too.
Milton, that was going to be a huge payday for you, right? $1.5 million?
Right.
You know, very few of us are ever going to know what it's like to lose that kind of money. What was it like for you?
Well, I can't say I lost because I never had it. I mean, but the numbers sounded good. I was hoping Sugar Ray would have fought, but it never happened. They said I was going to beat him. I think I was going to beat him because of, like we're fighting with Tommy all the time, because of everybody would talk about Sugar Ray. And that would piss me off to the highest festivity. So I thought I would have beat him.
Who else would you have liked to have fought that you didn't get to?
No, with Sugar Ray at that time, Sugar Ray was the hottest thing going.
Sure,
so
yeah.
That was the only one I really wanted to fight because we was at the same weight then. Not like Bob and Hagler or nothing like that because I wasn't the middleweight. This Sugar Ray, he was the standout.
So when you retired from boxing in 1991, was it a hard thing to do? Did you have some serious withdrawal pains when you finally hung up and walked away?
No, not really. One thing I did for 2 years before I started working at Chrysler, that I was kind of bored. Then I was just bored. I wanted something to do. I I didn't miss the running and all that stuff. That I did miss.
I bet you put on weight, too. I bet you got to eat finally, and took advantage of that.
Yeah, but you know what? But even like now, I'm like 195. I'm not, I got a little gut, a little stomach and stuff, but I'm not bad. It's like my battery, I was going to be slim all my life. It seems like, you know what I'm saying?
Milton, what's it like for you to go to a reunion and see a bunch of these old fighters? What kind of night is it for you when that happens?
Oh, I like it because every year I go back to the WBC convention. It's good. It's a good feeling, that everybody got to call you champ. That's the greatest feeling in the world still today. People say, hey, champ. I like that. It's a childhood dream that you always wish that you could have. And I got that dream, like now people say, hey, champ. And they don't know my name, but they hey, champ. And that's a good feeling. That's a great feeling.
Have you ever gone up to Canastota for the World Boxing or International Boxing Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah. I go to Canastota. I was going every year. I ain't go last year, but I'll probably go there again next year.
That's got to be a lot of fun for you guys, too, isn't it?
Yep, it is. To be champion amongst, the month to get inducted and all that. But, it's good. It's fun just to be around old friends like Jerry Cooney, all them guys. They cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had Jerry on this show a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you worked for Chrysler there in Detroit for about 15 years, right?
I'm still working for them now.
Oh, you are? What do you do for them?
I work for the UAW now.
Are you coaching some boxing now?
Yeah, I coach boxing too.
How much do you enjoy that part?
That's fun. I like the kids when they go to Ohio or different places that's kind of close, to go out of town, spend the night. I want them to have that feeling again. To see what I had. It was a fun thing when I was doing it, when I was young. Yeah.
So you got kids of your own, right?
Yeah, but they grown now. My son, I got a son and a daughter my son never wanted to fight. My daughter was an athlete. She was a baseball player.
Really?
Yes. She played from 7 to 18. She played in high school. And then when she got to university, basically, she said, Dad, they take it serious. I said, that's good. That's good enough for me. You played long enough.
Yeah, fantastic. I bet you were happy that your son did not want to be a boxer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, rough sport, dirty sport. Yeah.
Right. See, one thing about boxing, you can't play boxing. You cannot play boxing. It's funny, like you say, with Jimmy the brothers, because me and my brother was kind of rough kids. You know what I'm saying? We played rough. But everybody's not meant for that game. It's just everybody ain't meant for boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Hey, Milton McCrory was a world middleweight champion for more than 2 years.
Welterweight.
World welterweight champion, 2 years. He's part of the alumni of one of the most legendary boxing factories in the history of the sport, the Kronk Gym. Iceman, hey, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. We're glad you're still doing well in your hometown of Detroit. Best of luck to you, and thanks for making some time for us today on the Ringside Boxing Show.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Milton McCrory on the Ringside Boxing Show. He's a great one. Hey, do you like this podcast? Do us a solid. Tell your boxing friends about the Ringside Boxing Show. Post us on your social media and help us grow. Also, if you haven't yet discovered the #1 website in the world for daily boxing news, you got something to add to your bucket list. We update RingsideBoxingShow.com 365 days a year with all the hottest headlines and the biggest stories every single day. If you're a hardcore boxing fan, this should be your first stop every morning, and it might be the only website you need to visit all day long. Check it out right now and be amazed. RingsideBoxingShow.com. Thanks, as always, to our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Risponti, and our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, and, of course, another huge thanks to today's featured guest, the Iceman, former WBC welterweight champion of the world, Milton McCrory. And, of course, thanks to all of you, Ringside Nation, for being a part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked, and we will talk to you again next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Well, it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back. You might get cold cocked if you cross my path.